Okay.
Awesome. For the duration of the session, students, we're going to keep you all muted so that we can get through our questions. If you have questions throughout the presentation today, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'm going to be taking notes and jotting down questions. And at the end, I think we have about 15 minutes at the end that will allow for you to unmute yourself and ask your questions as well. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Shannon Sheely, who is a faculty member in our Family Studies Department, to introduce our panelists.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for this virtual career panel. I am Shannon Sheely. I'm a professor in the Family Studies Department, and I will be the facilitator of this panel today. We are pleased to welcome 3 panelists who are child development industry experts. They will share valuable insights on possible career paths and employer insights on job opportunities currently available within their various organizations. In no particular order, our first panelist is Mary Canales, a very special guest from the Busy Bees Child Development Center. Mary is the director and owner of Busy Bees, and today she will be sharing with us her knowledge and experience running a child development center. Our second panelist is Elizabeth Mulligan. Elizabeth is the area director of the Child Development Services at Easter Seals in Southern California. Today, she will share with us about the wide ranges of services that Easter Seals provides for children and adults with disabilities and their families. And our third panelist is Antonio Arias. Antonio is the educational specialist at the East Lake Middle School. Antonio works with students who have moderate to severe disabilities. Antonio will discuss his role and responsibility as an educational specialist and how to get started on this career path. With that said, I ask that you give your full attention to our panelists as we begin the panel discussion and questions. We're going to start by having each panelist provide a brief introduction of who you are and what you do. Let's start by welcoming Mary to our virtual stage.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mary Ann Canales, and I am the director and owner of Busy Bees Child Development Center. I opened my center here in West Chula Vista 2 years ago. Before that, I had operated a family child care in my home. So that's what I do here. I'm the administrator, but I'm also the preschool teacher because my school is very small in capacity right now. And I'm a really good preschool teacher. I have another employee here who manages the office. So our job right now, we wear a lot of different hats here because we're so small, and it's all administrative. I'm a tax accountant, but I'm not a tax accountant. I'm a program. I have to design the program financially, just decide how we're going to spend the money, and then develop the curriculum for the students. So that's what I do here. Oh, I guess I should mention that I serve children 18 months old to 5 years old here.
Great, thank you, Mary, and we're excited to learn more about what you do. So thanks for that introduction, and now let's hear from Elizabeth.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Mulligan, and I am the area director for Easter Seals, Southern California. I head the Child Development Services area at Easter Seals. And so what we do is we have a Head Start and Early Head Start program. We serve children ages 0 to 5 and pregnant mothers in various capacities. We have center-based care, family child care, we have home-based care as well. And so we serve about 1,300 families that are low income and children with special needs. And we operate in 3 different counties. So we have operations in San Diego County, San Bernardino County, and we just opened up our first Early Head Start program in Ventura County. So we're really excited for that. My main position is program compliance, making sure that we're following all those federal regulations and state guidelines. I also do a lot of training and oversight, and I write the grants for new applications. So new funding that's out there, I get together with our team and we apply for the funding. And then I also oversee the budgets. So making sure that we are within our budgets and are spending the money appropriately.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elizabeth. I know our students will be excited to learn more about Easter Seals. This might be the first time they're hearing about your organization. Antonio is going to introduce himself next, and he also works with children with special needs. So Antonio, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to aspiring people who want to work with us. So my name is Antonio Arias, and I am the special day class teacher at Eastlake Middle School. And I do work with kids with moderate to severe disabilities. So if you're looking at a spectrum of services, we have gen ed here, then we have a mild RSP, we have mild mod, and then we have mod severe. So my kids, or the clients that I service, are children in middle school age, so 7th and 8th grade, who have moderate to severe disabilities. I work with kids with Down syndrome, who have autism, and various other OHI and various other disabilities. I am in charge of the IEP process, making sure that we're meeting those specific educational goals, but also that the kids are still learning, and a lot of life skills and things that you wouldn't think a teacher should be teaching, like life skills, washing hands, getting their lunch, and just learning how to function in life. I'm in charge of that also. So again, I've been doing this for about 14 years, and I wake up every morning and I just love and enjoy doing what I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Just quickly, I'm unfamiliar with the acronym OHI. Could you tell us what that stands for?
Yes, so other health impaired. So that's one of the I think it's 14 qualifying disabilities on the IEP. So I'm sorry, if we're talking acronyms, you just stop me, and I will I will explain. I'm sure as Elizabeth knows, we talking acronyms. You know what I mean? And it's just easier. But yeah, so other health, OHI is other health impaired, and usually that child has a disability, like they're in a wheelchair, or they have ADHD or something like that. It's other health impaired.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, acronyms is like a whole nother language.
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I do it too. So thank you to all of our panelists. We're so excited to have you here. Those were wonderful introductions. I think we could spend all day getting to know each one of you further, but what we really want to do is we want to get our students to really understand your career paths and what kind of opportunities they have. So what I'd like to ask each one of you next, and we'll start with Mary again, is to talk about your career path. Please share with us a little bit about your personal journey. What made you interested in the field that you work in, and how did you begin your career? How did you get to be where you are today?
Well, that could take 2 hours. So I tried to narrow this down for you. I started out as an elementary school teacher. I taught 6th grade right before I decided to switch careers. So I wanted, first of all, you kind of just, I don't know how everybody arrives to understand that they decide they want to work with children. Okay, so I came from a trauma childhood. And I don't think everybody came from a trauma. I think maybe some had great mothers and that inspired them to want to work with children. I personally came from a trauma childhood. And when what I needed the school the most was in 6th grade. So I wanted to be a 6th grade teacher. I just wanted to be there for students. So I became a teacher. And when I became a teacher, there was a hiring freeze. We were given temporary contracts. I was in the district for 5 years. I got a pink slip every year. And ultimately, I really did lose my job with 60 other teachers in 2010. So I met a family child care provider when I was 8 months pregnant, laid off. And that person was telling me a little bit more about daycare. I had no idea what she was talking about. I didn't know the field. And I volunteered at her daycare with my little baby and watched her work. I was really inspired. I decided to give it a try. My degree was going to sit there waiting for me if it didn't work out. So I went ahead and decided to give it a try. And here it is 8 years later. And I'm doing great. I love the field. I'm extremely passionate about it. And so I loved being a teacher, but at the time, the district was not able to hire everybody who was trying to get a job at the time. And I'm not everybody who wanted to be a teacher has the same story. Some got jobs in 1 year and they're still working. It didn't work out that way for me. And so I'm glad that I was able to sidestep. I did have to go back to school for some early child development. And I got my permit to become a director of childcare. So that's how I ended up being here. And I found a whole new passion since I did teach kindergarten before. And I saw some of these kindergartners showing up and they couldn't hold a pencil. They knew nothing about the alphabet. And I saw them fall out of love with learning. They didn't feel good about themselves. And now that I'm in a position where I'm here in a preschool where I could help those students get to kindergarten on the right foot, it's the most rewarding job. I just love being here. So that's how I came to be here. I was an elementary school teacher. I took a different path and became a director of a child care center.
Thank you so much, Mary. I know that that's a very inspiring story, and I know a lot of our students are kind of thinking between elementary and preschool. So your story will really resonate with many of them. In fact, I had a similar path as well. So thank you for sharing. Elizabeth, you're going to be up next, and many of our students might not be familiar with Easter Seals and that type of work. So we're curious to hear about your career journey.
You know, it seems like we all have the same career path. My story is very similar to Mary's. I went to school to be an elementary school teacher. I had a fabulous sixth grade teacher. She inspired me, and I wanted to do that as well. So I finished college with liberal studies was my major, and I never had experience. I didn't have any experience working with children, and my mom told me about a local Head Start program. That I've never heard of Head Start. And so I applied and I got a position. I was a toddler teacher, 2-year-old teacher. I had a co-teacher and 8 children, 2-year-olds, and I fell in love automatically right then and there. So it was an early Head Start program that I worked at, and it was at Easter Seals. And so I worked as a teacher for about 3 years and was given the opportunity to become a mental health and disability specialist. So I applied for that position and continued my path on with Easter Seals. And that position was where I helped families who had children that were maybe slightly delayed. We do some screenings and we found that they may have had delays. And so I would help them through the referral process with the regional center or their local school district. And so got to really work with families there. I continued, I didn't have a lot of child development units at the time. And so I went back to school, I got child development units, and I applied for my site supervisor permit through the state of California and kind of just fell into that role of having my own site. So I was promoted again into a site supervisor position. And so at that point, again, working with teachers and parents and families, I continued that role for quite some time. And then a position became available to oversee the entire program in the county. And so that's what I applied for. And so that's what I currently do is that we have I work in San Bernardino County, and we have 4 centers and home-based program that I oversee. And so I just kept on, falling in love and kept on pursuing a career path in early childhood education. And that's kind of where I stayed. Now I'm interim for all of the child development services. So I oversee the 3 counties and provide feedback to Easter Seals because we have so many service lines that there's a lead in each of those service lines, and that's me. So work really closely with San Diego County as well as Ventura County to get them up and going. So it's been just a long successful road to where I am now. Never thought I would be in early childhood education. Again, I thought I would be an elementary school teacher, and I just fell in love with the families that we serve and the children that we served.
Wonderful, Elizabeth. I like hearing about your longevity within Easter Seals and all the opportunities you had to move within positions and kind of grow within the organization. I hope we can circle back to that later so students understand that kind of process. And then Antonio, let's hear about your career path.
Yeah, so my career path is actually very interesting. I always knew deep down I wanted to work with kids, but I just didn't know what capacity, right? And actually, when I was first going through school, my dad was a police officer for 30 years. My mom was a nurse for 30 years. So, of course, I wanted to be a police officer, right? And then so I went to Southwestern College. So, guys, I'm very local. Went to Southwestern, went to Vista High, Southwestern College. But during high school, I did this thing called cross-stage tutoring, where I went in my senior year. One of my periods was to go to a local elementary school and tutor kids. Right then and there, I fell in love with kids. I fell in love with teaching kids and this whole concept of learning. And so, even though I was going to school to be a police officer or some type of criminal justice, I always knew that I wanted to work with kids. So my mom told me, why don't you just go apply for a paraprofessional position, local Chula Vista Elementary School District. So I did, passed the test, I got it, and I started working with kids with mild to moderate. So I was a instructional assistant first for a couple of years in a mild to moderate class, and then I switched over to moderate to severe, and I just instantly fell in love with the moderate to severe curriculum, but also how we had to. It was just a different type of teaching, right? We did academics also, but we also did like a lot of life skills, a lot of life learning, and that's where I feel my strong suit is, right? So again, was an aide, was a student attendant for about 6 or 7 years, finished my education, and say on Friday, I finished my education. On that Monday, I was offered the job as the teacher in that classroom. So imagine I'm I'm a student attendant or a paraprofessional one day, and then the exact next day I was offered that position as a teacher. All my education was done. So I rolled right into that. And I was actually in Chula Vista Elementary School District for about 12 years as a teacher. And then just recently, this is my third year, I always wondered, well, what about after sixth grade? You know, I always had the IEP, the transition sixth grade. Well, where did my kids go? You know, so that kind of sparked my interest in middle school, high school. And so I just kept on thinking about it, thinking about it. At Marshall, because I was at Marshall Elementary, I started the SDC, which is special day class, moderate to severe program there. I grew the program from one classroom. When I left, it was now 4 classrooms. East Lake Middle approached me and they said, you know what, Mr. Arias, we don't have a moderate to severe classroom at East Lake Middle. And I was like, what? Like, that's impossible. Marshall Elementary was right here. East Lake Middle was literally down the street. So my thing was, well, where do my kids go from Marshall if East Lake Middle doesn't have a program? So they offered to say, look, come work for us. You can start your own program. And I was like, sold, because I like to start programs. I like to bring the best of the best people around me, recruit people. That's what I've been doing for the past 3 years at East Lake Middle. So again, it's not really the career path that most people have, but I'll tell you what, those people and people I'm talking to right now who are paraprofessionals, who are just starting out, those are the most important people that I rely on. And in fact, me being a paraprofessional for so long, for those years, I credit today the teacher I am because of those very, very important years of being a paraprofessional and helping the teacher. Because without you guys, I'll tell you right now, without my paraprofessionals, without my aides, there's no way that I can do what I do. So you see, guys, it always starts, don't get discouraged, because I started there too. And then now, I'm living my dream. I'm a SDC or special day class moderate to severe teacher. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Antonio. Your passion is evident, and I love how encouraging you are for our students that, this is something they can get started with, and how meaningful of a position it really is. So thanks for sharing all of our panelists. Your stories are inspiring, because you'll have students that something will resonate with them. And I have no doubt we're going to have students reaching out to you to learn more and for a little bit of mentorship. So thank you. We love hearing about your career path, but I know our students also are really eager to know more about your organization. What makes it special? Why should they be interested in your organization? And of course, are you hiring? So let's go back to Mary and tell us a little bit about what makes your organization unique, or your company that you own, and what you particularly love about it, and how a student could get a job working for you or something similar.
Okay, so what makes my daycare different than others is that ours is an early language, early literacy program. And what that means is that I focus on the children expressing themselves to be able to talk, and I narrate everything that we do. Then this all leads to them being able to, when they start kindergarten, that they have the pre-reading skills. And the reason why that's important to me is because there's a big gap in the California standards to where the children are at the end of preschool and what they're required to know, and then what they are supposed to know by the end of kindergarten. So we're having them, they need to know only half of the letters of the alphabet, 15 letters, identify, not sound, just know the letter. And this, I'm just talking about literacy. Then at the end of kindergarten, they have to know every letter, every sound, sight words, reading, and writing paragraphs. It's a big gap. And I personally I want to do something in this world where I change that, because it's too big of a gap. It's a lot for these kindergartners to learn all of that in 9 months. 9 months they have to learn this big gap that they left us from the end of preschool to the end of kindergarten. It's stressful on the teachers, it's stressful on the children, and they are absolutely capable to be able to do more than what is required. So I come in with the early literacy to make sure that they are not struggling with that part of their life, because everything else is a given. The social emotional development, the gross motor, the fine, all of these things, that's daycare, and is in every daycare. What's not in every daycare is preparing them for what's coming. And that's where I'm extremely passionate, because when we do that, I am learning that some of these children have some disabilities that we can identify and act early. That's speech delays. That's what delays can be identified in preschool. At 3 years old, they can get their speech services. They can get their ABA therapy for their autism, because we as educators know what to look for, how to identify it. And these parents, this is their first child, and they don't know the signs, and they don't know that something's off. And this is where I get to refer the children to their doctors, and they get the referrals to get the help that they need now, and not in the middle of kindergarten when they're already in school. So I get really upset. I'm very passionate. That's what makes my program different, is that I have experience working with children with autism, because when I was laid off from Chula Elementary School, 8 months pregnant, that little boy in my belly is autistic. And I got to be home with him at my family childcare with ABA therapists coming to my house 3 hours a day. And I had other children in my care with ABA therapists. I learned from those ABA therapists how to work with nonverbal children, because we get nonverbal children in our daycares. And how do you know how do you work with them? So I learned, and I had speech therapists in my daycare. I love having these specialists in my daycare, because I learned from them without having to go and become a speech therapist or an ABA therapist. I have learned so much. I have a lot to give to this community. And it's so big that I couldn't ever explain everything of what makes my daycare different and special from, and I'm in West Chula Vista. The children at these schools are performing lower academically than the children up in the east side. Okay, so I'm in the perfect place to make a difference in our Chula Vista community. I would love to reach further out, but I'm slow at moving up in the world. So we'll see what happens in my lifetime. Hopefully I leave the world a better place, and you know, things that we're still accomplishing with these children. So I couldn't be more grateful for where I ended up. I never thought this, just like you said, I was supposed to be a 6th grade elementary school teacher, and now I'm here in early child development. And so what?
Well, Mary, I want to ask you, your passion about early literacy is probably lighting a fire under some of our students right now who are saying, yes, I feel the same way. So what would you say to those students who want to get a job with your organization or another organization? What recommendations do you have for them to stand out when they're in the hiring process?
Passion. There's one thing I can't teach you is to have passion for children. Wanting to learn, you have to want to learn. Okay, I'm always learning. There's no way I know all this stuff. I'm always looking and researching, constantly researching. So the positions that you could have in a daycare start off as a assistant. There's no experience, no degree, no. I think you have to have your GED. So you don't have to have anything to be in it. But the thing is that you're supervised, you're with somebody who is qualified, but that's where you can start right there. Assistant, then it's you become the teacher, the lead teacher, and then you're in charge of all any other assistants and designing, helping implement the program, and you go on to be the master teacher, where you're in charge of all the teachers in your site, and the curriculum, and there's planning, and so then the site supervisor is the person, you know, that's my job, you know, but it's one site, and then the program director who can have multiple sites. So you can grow and do all these things. As far as assistant teacher, I mean, you can be not just in the childcare, it could be at a district, you know, it can be at any organization. You could be a bus attendant, where you're on the school bus maybe. With special needs students on a school bus. And so there's the driver, and then there's the, you know, the TA. So there's a lot of paths you can take. You know, I mean, even at the end of my career, what do I hope for? I hope to be like Patty Bartow. She's such an inspiration. She was, you know, directing a daycare. She's a professor at night. I have to wait till my kids get to college, but you know, I couldn't wait to teach child development at Southwestern College. I went to Southwestern College, you know, so there's just a lot that we can do. You're gonna find your passion as you go through these steps. And I believe they're all stepping stones to where your ultimate, where you find, this is where I wanna be. You don't have to be a director. I remember when I was a teacher, I looked at the principal and I said, I would never want that guy's job, ever. And here I am, so similar to principal. It's weird. I said I never wanted that job, but here I am. So
well, Mary, when your kids get to college or even sooner, you know, we have your name on file. We have a lot of alumni that teach for us. So
oh, I really will be there. It's in my heart. I really want to be there, and I can't wait.
Well, I hop onto that chat because I'm sure you got a big following now, and I'm sure there's more questions for you that students have. And when we have an opportunity to circle back, we'll have those students ask those questions. But for now, let's move to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, what's the hiring process like at Easter Seals, and what's special about your organization?
So most people don't know that Easter Seals has been around for, last year we celebrated 100 years. So wow. Easter Seals has been around. It's national as well. We're we're all over the United States. But for Southern California, the great thing is that we have many service lines. So we not only do child development services, we also have autism services for children and adults with autism. We do adult day services for adults with disabilities. We do something called Work First. So we find suitable jobs for people with disabilities. We also have a veterans program. So we work with veterans. And then we have senior services as well. And then we also have living options, which is where people that were institutionalized, actually we move them out and they get their own place to live, their own home to live in. So they live with a few other people with disabilities, and they're able to have a house that they live in, their own room and everything. So there's a lot of things that Easter Seals does. In regard to child development services, we have a recruiting team that actually does all of the recruiting and talent acquisition for us. And so they're amazing. They do a great job at sourcing. So what the process would be is just to apply. We have some centers down in Encinitas area, as well as in Solana Beach, that are early childhood, that we're looking for early childhood educators. And so there's, I think my recruiter put the place to go where you can, in the chat box, on where you can apply if you're interested. So we have positions that is early childhood educators, who non-degree teachers. We accept AA degree and BA's degree. So, but the one requirement that an early childhood educator would need is the child development permit, associate teacher or higher, and that's just one of the qualifications. And we can help through that process too. If they have the units to qualify, we can help them through that process. So that's the one thing, but we do accept non-degree teachers.
Excellent, thank you. And I appreciate, I see the chat is very active and we're getting a lot of information in the chat. Elizabeth, what would be one tip you'd give our students as they begin the process of looking for a job with Easter Seals?
So I think just making sure that you qualify for a permit. So looking at that matrix, the California Child Development Matrix is really good. So just taking the classes for that. We do have infant and toddler classrooms. So if you have infant and toddler classes, that's great as well. So just keep that in mind. We are lifelong learners here at Easter Seals, and so we do a lot of professional development. And we actually have education reimbursement programs to help through college to get your units and to get your degree. So that's another thing that would be something that's to highlight about Easter Seals.
Yes, that's excellent. Our students love to hear that. We all do. And for the students that are interested in Easter Seals, Elizabeth mentioned the child development permit. We do have a faculty member who specializes in helping students to understand the permit requirements and apply for it. So Jenny Chavez can probably put Victoria Enrique's name and contact in the chat room for those of you that want to know where you are in that process of earning your permit. And oh, I had something else, but now it's gone. So let's go to Antonio. Antonio, I saw that you are already sharing information, but if you can give us some more information live.
Perfect. So a little bit about the organization, you guys. I'm local. Sweetwater Union High School District is basically, they run the high schools and the junior highs all around here. Basically, we've been on a little bit of hot water in the news lately, but luckily, it's all been taken care of. I came to Sweetwater because of Sweetwater and what it stands for. I basically, I am the manager of my program. So if I want to focus on life skills, or if I want to focus on leisure skills, or if I want to focus on academic, I have the ability to do so. Have free reign. As long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, there's no micromanagement, which I like. Also, I just love the ability to, if I want to go out in the community, get a school bus or book a bus, and we go out in the community and work on those life skills. That's huge for me and huge for my kids. Also, in my organization, there is plenty of room for starters and to move up. So actually, the moderate teacher at my school, she's actually an intern, so she's not even done yet with her degree. But my organization allows for that. So you're an intern, you work your way, you get paid, you're working as a teacher, but you're getting your education done. So that's a plus, right? We also have a lot of paraprofessional opportunities available too. If you don't want to be in the classroom, working one-on-one with kids, of course, pre-COVID, you can ride a bus, you can supervise student activities during the day. So there are a lot of opportunities that Sweetwater offers you. And of course, there's room for moving up, right? The longer you work, the more you get paid, right? So again, we have good internships. Also, we're always there, even as a professional, you always have a teacher there monitoring you, asking you questions. If you need that help, not monitoring, but there to help you, there to help you if you need help. We're not going to just throw you out on the island and say, get to work. There's a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of room for moving up in this organization. That's one of the reasons why I left Chula Vista, because I'm not saying anything bad, but There's a lot of room for movement in Sweetwater. Again, the internship is a plus. That's how I started. So the internship is a plus. What does the hiring process look like? If you want to be a paraprofessional, I advise you to go to EdJoin. EdJoin is a website that all teachers know, and everybody needs to know. All the jobs are posted there. The process is really easy. It's really submit your name, take a test. You have to do a little physical, of course, to make sure you do all the physical stuff, and then you get offered a job. Again, it's really, really easy, and there's a lot of room for movement. Let's see what else. What are the opportunities for professional growth? Also one of the programs that Sweetwater offers is if you're a paraprofessional or a teacher, and you go back and you take the classes for professional development, you can use that, submit those, and move up in pay grade. I mean, that's also something that my district offers. That's really cool. Paraprofessionals are always wanting to learn more. And so we provide those opportunities for you to learn for professional growth, but also you get those units, you submit them to HR, and you get moved up a pay scale or a pay step. So anyways, that's also good that my district offers.
Thank you so much, Antonio. I want to reiterate something I'm hearing Tony mention, which is years of experience, and also the credits that you're earning academically are going to move you up in your pay scale. So we always encourage our students to keep going with your education, get the highest degree possible. But
Right.
What I really love that Antonio shared is about the paid internship. That's just a buzzword for us. I'm sure Genesis is writing this down. We for our students that are listening, we have a CD 290 class that is through student employment, which is our work experience or class work, cooperation class. And we love to get our students into those internships so they can really get that experience and see about the position. So thanks for mentioning that.
Sure. Come see us.
Before we move on to the next question, I remember something Elizabeth said, which was if you're looking for a job with infants and toddlers, it helps to have the units with infants and toddlers. And so just for our students, so that you're aware, we do have CD 172 and CD 173, which are our infant toddler classes for curriculum and also for theories. I happen to teach CD 173 and would love to have you in that class in the spring. Okay, let's get back to our questions. And Genesis, you'll tell me when we're out of time, right? I did see that Leticia in our chat room was asking about the pandemic and how we know that the childcare and education field have been really affected by this pandemic with lots of shutdowns, including our own center on campus. What we want to know from our panelists is, what adjustments have your organization had to make to still educate young children during these extraordinary times? So, Wendy, let's hear from you. Oh, I said Wendy. What am I doing there? Mary.
Okay, so when I opened my child care center, we ran into a big problem. I paid the city to come and inspect the building. It's a commercial building, to make sure that this was a place I could run my child care. They made a big mistake. They gave me the green light. I moved in, I built a yard, I built a playground, and I built the whole school. 2 weeks before we opened, I got the final inspection and they realized their mistake and I had to change the capacity of the building. That is a huge cost. I had to do a lot of negotiating with the city. So I'm telling you all this because I did not get to open what I was approved for 27 students in our daycare facility. I didn't get to, the city allowed me to open with the 8 that I was bringing with me. I lived in East Chula Vista. I opened with 8 clients and I'm still going through some city, I'm almost done, but the pandemic really slowed us down. So I wasn't open for 27 students when the pandemic hit. I was open for 8, and we are fully operational with our full program with the 8, and there are 2 of us, the teachers. So capacity didn't change for us. We were already with the new requirements of 10 per classroom. So I got to keep the 8 clients. We are taking temperatures. The parents are no longer allowed to come inside the building. We are developing new policies into our parent handbook to give the parents, to let them know what will happen if someone were to become COVID positive, and what would the procedure be in our daycare. No shoes allowed, shorter hours. One time we were only servicing families with who are essential workers. And then now it is, if you're not working, the hours are 9 to 4. We used to be open from 7:30 to 6. The YMCA has given us grants for cleaning supplies. They have they have helped our clients who are essential workers by paying their childcare.
Yep.
And we're just getting a couple of grants here and there. The licensing support, I mean, if we have a question, we call the duty line. I mean, it's very easy to ask them, what do I do if? We used to do family style dining for the children to serve themselves their own lunch. So many great skills in that. Now, nope, they don't get to serve themselves because they might sneeze in their food, and there it goes lunch. So we are not brushing our teeth. I do, but the children don't. All our toothbrushes, Play-Doh, that used to be out all the time. We make our own Play-Doh. Now we have it for a day and it's in the trash, so we don't make it as much as possible. Clay. So there are some suggestions to rope off sections and only one child per section. I don't know if CDC is on this call, but
They're not.
I cannot get 3 and 5-year-olds to not play in the same section. I do not force them to wear masks. They have masks. They don't say on their faces. This has delayed the construction that I had going on to finish the city requirements so I could open to full capacity. And let's see. And that's it. That's all that I kind of jotted down about how it's affected my business and what the changes are.
Yeah, well, Mary, thanks for sharing all those examples. You're going through a lot of adjustments, and well, congratulations for being fluid and making those adjustments. And I hope that you come out, strong and are able to do all those other things that you want to do. So thanks for sharing. Elizabeth, how about you? How have you been affected by the pandemic?
So back in March, when the governor put the stay-at-home orders in place, we closed our in-person services to our families. And we worked quickly to create guidance to be able to support families coming back. We do serve low-income families, the population that we serve. And so we went right into action to provide needed services. We started to do weekly grab and goes. So what that means is that we would purchase groceries for families, and they would come by, drive by, pick up things like milk, eggs, bread, fruit. We also provided them diapers and wipes and formula. A lot of these families lost their jobs as well. And so we geared up to reopen our services. We continue to pay our associates, even though they weren't working. We continue to pay their salaries. We didn't have to lay anybody off, which is great. And so June 1st, we reopened our doors for essential workers and families in need. And so we've been open ever since and providing services to families, but we do have a lot of new guidance in place, as Mary had mentioned. The no more family style. We've limited the amount of materials in the classroom for easier sanitation. We have somebody that goes around and wipes down the high touch points. We try to do we limited the number of chairs in the classroom, so there would be children sitting at tables just a little bit further apart as much as possible. But we never wanted our teachers to feel that they couldn't support the children emotionally. So, we still wanted them to hug the children and be close to the children. So we really recommended that too. But it has, we still have the smaller class size for our program. And some of our families don't feel comfortable at this time coming back, but we're still supporting them virtually. So they get to see their classmates just a little bit different now on Zoom, as we're all used to now. So it did affect our program, but we're still up and running, and we're proud to say that.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It really does sound like you work for an amazing organization, and I'd love to pick your brain more on some of those adjustments you made and learn about that. So thanks for sharing. And Antonio, we got a little sneak peek earlier, but can you share with our students some of the things you shared with us about how the pandemic has affected your work?
Yes. So, I work for the public schools, Sweetwater's public school district, and we're shut down. We've been shut down. We've been doing distance learning. We're on Google Classroom. I use Google Classroom, Google Meets, and I require the kids to log in. For period 1, period 2, period 3. We do a 30-minute synchronous learning lesson. And then for the rest of the period, they do asynchronous work. So I post little activities for them to do on Google Classroom. They complete it at their leisure. And turn it in. I can tell you right now, my population of kids, so moderate to severe community, is not. It's not working. Unfortunately, the types of students that I teach or I service, we need to be there. We need hands-on. Some are in wheelchairs. They need to be stretched. They need to be put in their gait trainers. Some need hand over hand with writing and reading and math. I'm not right now. It's just I'm not getting done. So the COVID has really affected the moderate to severe community a lot. It's affecting us a lot. I see a lot of regression with the kids and academics and social, emotional. If you have an autistic child and one of the main, things that they need is socialization, social skills, right? And you take that away from them by no fault of their own, right? COVID is nobody's fault, but they safely cannot socialize. They're missing out. Unfortunately, they're missing out. So as a teacher, I try to provide as much as I can, but again, it's a computer, you guys. It's not the same. It's not the same. So currently, I just came back from East Lake Middle, and I'm on a meeting. Please close the door. Thank you. And we have a reopen plan for hopefully in the next 2 weeks. We went through CDC, we went through the district, all the higher ups, superintendent, everything. Hopefully, we can get the kids back on campus safely within the next couple of weeks. And again, this COVID has really put an impact on our kids, and not so far, the financially or anything, but I think just socially. Socially, my kids or the moderate to severe kids, they need socialization, and that has been taken from them. So hopefully, again, this will remedy itself in the next couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that, Antonio. I know a lot of us are feeling the same way, that, there's just certain things we can't do virtually, and a lot of us are eager to get back face to face with our students. And but you're doing everything you can, and that's a blessing for those children and families. Before I lose you, Antonio, I'm going to start with you for a final thought for our students before we go to the Q&A. What's a last minute tip or word of encouragement you have?
Final thought: stay the course, you guys. I put myself through college. I had no college fund. Both my parents worked their butts off. There was no college fund. I put myself through college. Education was my passion, still is my passion. It can be done. It can be done. Don't let anybody tell you it can't be done. Don't let there be any roadblocks, because at least now, hopefully, all this everything about it, at least you know me now, Antonio, and I will do as much as I can to help you along the way, because we need good people. And I truly believe that the people working with kids with special needs, or that community, are the best people, and we need the best people, and that's you guys. So stay the course, okay? It can be done. If I can do it, anybody can do it, you guys. Okay.
Thanks, Antonio. I know you'd be great at wrapping us up. So I'm going to I've enjoyed talking to all three of our panelists. I'm going to give this back to Genesis so she can get our students their questions answered. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, thank you, Shannon. I really appreciate you facilitating the conversation today. I want to open up the floor to students Q&A. So students, if you would like to ask a question live, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question to the panel, or you can continue to ask your questions in the chat.
I have a question for all three centers where the advantage of working with the district, you are on a contract. So right now we're still getting paid, but with the other companies like Easter Cells, Busy Bee, do you still continue getting paid for that? That's my question.
So we're actually open for services, and so our staff are in the centers and are working. So, but during the COVID situation, we continue to pay our associates.
I heard you say. And you guys, I'm sorry, you guys are considered essential workers, correct? Now, right? Elizabeth?
Yes.
So you guys are allowed to do a lot of the stuff that people who are not deemed essential workers were able to do. So yeah, you guys are working.
Yes, well, we're two owners here, so we were never getting paid to begin with. But if I had employees, and I didn't have the children, because I had none of my clients left. As in fact, I had 3 clients go home, and I did a virtual preschool, which was not great, but I did my best. And they continued to pay tuition, despite me telling them, no, you don't need to. They wanted to make sure Busy Bees stayed open. It was amazing. Some of them paid for 2 months. I have very loyal clients because I'm guessing because they are just as passionate about this program as I am. I am a private business. They didn't want to see. I heard about a lot of grants. Had I had to lay anybody off that I could have applied for, and the grants would have given me money, and that money would have went to my employees. And that's what I would do as a private business.
And I work for the district, so like you previously stated, we're still, we still getting paid a paycheck during this pandemic. But again, this distance learning is we're still, as teachers, we're still working doing this distance learning, and of course our paraprofessionals are running small groups and stuff like that. So they're working also, getting paid.
There's a question here in the chat. Oh, Shannon took care of that. but is there a way to obtain infant first aid and CPR right now during COVID? So Shannon, you can answer that live too as well if you'd like.
Well, I just wanted to pitch one of our classes. We do have CD 175, which is our health and nutrition class. And traditionally, as part of that class, you would earn your CPR certification. I know, though, that lots of organizations such as the YMCA also offer like weekend trainings, and maybe Jenny can jump on too with some other ideas. I'm not sure, though, how any of that has changed during the pandemic.
So let me really quick with CD 175, because we are not on campus. We took out the first aid CPR component, and students have to find it independently. I know there are some organizations doing it. As the last I heard was Crown Cove. It's part of Southwestern College. They do it, but I think they were only doing it to essential employees. But I think this is something independent that students have to find on their own, and we can do a little bit more research on that too. Oh, Lisa,
I can help you a little bit. I did have to renew my CPR. Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
Something weird happened. I don't want to interrupt. So I did have to renew my CPR. I always have gone through AmeriMed. So, and my employee, my employee became a co-owner, just so you know. So she used to be my employee. And when I opened the center now, she's now a co-owner because I ended up not being able to do it alone, and she wanted to be in, so she's in. So she got to do it online. So she did all of her CPR training online, and then she had to go in to demonstrate the skill of performing CPR. I believe she was there for 20 minutes demonstrating that she could give CPR, and then she got her card. And I went in person because I like it better that way. But I was right when they started opening, and there was a little bit of a wait. I don't think there's a wait now, and you can do it in person. They just have less people in the class. We were 6 feet apart. We were wearing masks. We did not practice breathing. It was only compressions, and then we pretended we were breathing.
Okay.
So that's what happened with the CPR.
Perfect. We got time for one more question. Thank you all for that.
Sorry, can I,
Oh,
let me,
Jenny, go ahead.
sorry, really quick. We have a counselor that's joining us, Lisa Rodriguez. So if you have any questions counseling wise, you know, she's great. Thanks, Lisa, for joining us. She's
Lisa's
out
awesome.
in, we're lucky. She's out in Hex, San Isidro. So to all our students, she's available.
One last question. Oh, go ahead.
And if what I can do is go ahead and put the link in the chat box. So if you are interested in making an appointment, you just need to copy the link and that will take you right to our online counseling. So I'll go ahead and share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'm going to really quickly wrap up and share some last things. I just wanted to let you know here in student employment, I wanted to say thank you to Shannon and to Jenny. You two have been a world of help to me in help putting together this panel. So I want to thank you both. I also want to thank our panelists for being a part of today's session and taking time out of your busy days to be with us. We are here in Student Employment Services, here like my office is Student Employment Services. Anyway, we're here to help you with your job search and your career planning. So if you do need help in putting together a resume for one of these wonderful organizations, or you want help in kind of mapping your career path, you know, let us know. We're here to be of some help to you. Our email address is ses@swccd.edu. I thought I had a slide here. I guess I do not. We do have a job fair next Thursday, a virtual job fair in Handshake. I know Easter Seals is taking part, as well as some other childcare organizations. So if this is your career path, there's lots of job opportunities available for you next week at our virtual job fair. And that is available in Handshake. And lastly, I want to point out that we are on social media, so feel free to follow us anywhere. We are happy. We're posting job opportunities or posting career advice and some resources for students all the time. So with that, I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you all for being here. I want to just really express my gratitude to Shannon and Jenny and to all of our panelists for being a part of today's session. We're happy to do this and look forward to doing it again for you. So thank you all for being here and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.